is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Scramble Drill. I am Josh Johnson, and over there, we got Ben. Ben, how you feeling?
Dude. Oh, dude. Today's been amazing. This has been an awesome day. I have had so much fun. Not that, outside of that, but I've just been at work all day, just every free second refreshing Twitter. Every
NFL
minute.
free agency day one hasn't quite ended. It's very possible there's more signings done during this episode. So if something pops up, let me know. But for the most part, I think we have day one of free agency in the books, and so much has changed for fantasy football today.
It was a big one.
There were big signings.
This is a game-changing day.
I think the reason why today was so exciting was because it was a running back dominated free agency.
I don't remember last year's free agency being this exciting.
It's because it wasn't. I cannot name the headliner of free agency last year. Couldn't tell you who it was.
Maybe Miles Sanders signing with Carolina.
Genuinely, it might have been. And that one, it went the way it went. I don't know what you can say about the Miles Sanders signing.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot to go through. This is going to be a news, kind of like a reaction, breaking down, sort of just diving into the possible scenarios that might have presented themselves with all of these free agent signings.
A lot of this is knee-jerk because we haven't had time to do super in-depth with it. A lot of this stuff just happened within the past few hours, rushed home from work so we could immediately start talking about this.
Yes. Are you ready to go down the rabbit hole
let's
do all these signings? All right, let's do it. First one here. It was the first deal done on the day. DeAndre Swift signed with the Chicago Bears, got a 3-year, $24 million contract.
My boy. I'm excited.
How excited are you?
It's. I mean, I love DeAndre Swift. In all reality, I feel like it's probably a relatively lateral move. If I'm being honest, the Chicago offense is not going to be as good as the Eagles offense. Their offensive line is not as good as the Eagles offense. He's going to be playing with a rookie quarterback, but it's a rookie quarterback that will not be stealing all of his rushing touchdowns. Roschon Johnson and who's the other running back? I always forget his name.
Khalil Herbert.
Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert are, in my opinion, better than, Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, which is what, Swift was having to fight off in Philadelphia. But that being said, he's going to be the lead back. He's going to get probably a lot more goal line rushing work than he was in Philadelphia. So, in my opinion, it's sort of a lateral move, but maybe a little bit more upside. We'll see. I'm excited. He doesn't lose value.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he probably doesn't lose value. That was, I guess, with DeAndre Swift, I was worried he could be the odd man out with all of these running backs.
No, but he's the first one to go.
Yeah, there was I was worried there was going to be musical chairs and there was going to be a chair left. And we have seen that before, but for him, he was the first guy signed, the first domino to fall. I think it is interesting that Chicago just came hot and heavy out of the gate and said, this is the running back we want. In a market that was very saturated with running backs that were available, they said, we want him. We're going to just get it done, get it taken care of.
A lot of people I saw hated it, not because of it being DeAndre Swift, more of like, y'all got a lot of problems. You don't need to be signing DeAndre Swift.
Which I totally get. On the flip side, though, you're about to draft Caleb Williams and you want to surround him with weapons.
Yes.
And so from that perspective, I totally get like, hey, we've got DJ Moore.
And they've got money to spend too.
They do. They're probably going to take a receiver with their second first round pick. So then you add in DeAndre Swift as just, it's another offensive weapon. I totally understand not wanting to spend money on running backs. I get it. But, you know, Swift is a good player, and Chicago is in a situation where, you know, maybe he's not their bell cow. I don't know if any of those guys are bell cows, but certainly he would be the leader of whatever type of committee that ends up being.
He is, let's not get it clear. I think Roschon and Herbert are better than Boston Scott and Gainwell, but Swift is a lead back, and they're paying him like the lead back. He's getting $8 million a year. They're going to use him. They want to take pressure off of their rookie quarterback. I don't know why we say rookie quarterback. It's going to be Caleb Williams. So take pressure off of him, have a good running back you can lean on, a good pass catching running back you can dump it off to. I mean, I'm excited. I think good things are going to happen for Swift this year.
Yeah.
He's a very safe RB2 moving forward.
Yeah. This broke just before we hit record. Austin Eckler, he's going to sign a 2-year deal with the Commanders.
I feel like that means a 1-year deal.
It might be. Says the deal's worth up to 11.5.
I'll say this with like all of the running backs, I think. Like Saquon signs a 3-year deal. Like Eckler signs a 1-year deal. Swift signs a 3-year deal. I'm pretty sure they all have outs like within either 1 or 2 years. Except maybe Saquon's.
I think Saquon is the only one it's not quite that cut and dry, but he's getting a lot of money up front. And that could be part of it. Like I think his cap hits are lower as it goes on because they're paying him a lot at signing. I'm not sure. But Eckler, he replaces Antonio Gibson, who goes to the Patriots. So it is a Eckler, Brian Robinson backfield there for the Commanders. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think I have much of an opinion about this signing yet. I kind of think here's the opinion. He's going to be a slightly upgraded version of what Antonio Gibson already was. But I think Brian Robinson is still the running back to own in the backfield.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. Like I think Eckler's still probably, he's better. He's more experienced. He can't handle the workload like Brian Robinson can anymore. But think about this too. Anthony Lynn is on the Chargers or the Washington staff. I don't know what exactly position he's coaching. He's not the OC, but he is coaching for them. And, you know, he was the former Chargers coach. So there's a relationship there with Eckler. They know each other. Yeah, I think it does hurt Brian Robinson though. Like Eckler's better than Antonio Gibson. That's no question in my mind. He's going to have a fantasy relevant role. They're going to lean on him with a new rookie quarterback as a pass catcher a lot. So I don't know. I'm okay with this. I'm excited. You knew Eckler wasn't going to be a 3-down workhorse role. Everybody knew that. But this, I think, is knee jerk. I think it's fine. He'll be flexible.
Yeah. I do think it's worth considering, like every year we have the dead zone running backs or that ambiguous backfield where you just don't really know which guy is the guy to own. And every year there's a running back and oftentimes a couple guys that come out of nowhere and end up being really, really valuable fantasy assets because they, for whatever reason, they just end up being more effective than you thought in their ambiguous situations. Doesn't always pan out, but I do think this is going to be a backfield where, depending on how the ADP shakes out, you probably want to throw some shots at the guy who is the lesser valued of the two, be it Robinson, be it Eckler. It's probably going to be Brian Robinson that's valued less, if I had to bet. I feel like that might be a decent shot. Like if he falls like the 7th round or something, that might be a guy worth taking a shot on. I don't know where Eckler is going to fall. Like I don't know where it'll settle. I still feel like the name value of Eckler will, he's going to carry a certain amount of value just because he's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. It may flip. It might be the other way around.
In a PPR
it's a
format,
backfield to,
I mean, he's still going to be fine. Like Brian Robinson catch passes anyway. And Eckler's going to catch more passes than Gibson did because Gibson,
that's true.
He really wasn't that good.
Yeah, no, that is true. Tony Pollard, he signed with the Titans for 3 years, $24 million. Got the exact same contract that DeAndre Swift did with the Bears. But Pollard goes to the Titans.
Rip the
And-
Tajay Spears believers.
Yes,
Pour one out
Tajay
for the
Spears.
boy.
Hype train lasted about a month and a half.
Gone.
I don't understand this signing at all from a real life perspective. Like fantasy football aside, why in God's name are we signing a redundant running back when there's so many issues with this Titans team?
Y'all need to tear it down to the bare bones. I mean, nothing. But it's over now. So
I mean, they need
you done it, guys.
defense. They need secondary help. They need receivers. Their offensive line was, honest to goodness, it might have been the worst offensive line in football last year, or at least bottom 5. And they said, no, you know what we're going to do on day one? We're going to sign a running back. Good Lord. Anyways, I don't own Tajay Spears anywhere. I'm not biased or anything.
I pulled all the trades I had for Tajay Spears. and even then, they were like, I was trying to trade pennies for him, but still, like, nope, we're done.
I do think, okay, so Tajay Spears is probably a guy that you can buy right now because I think everybody will have panicked and there's going to be a massive reversal where 18 hours ago, he's a massive screaming dynasty buy. And now everybody's like, nope. They did what you did. They're like, I don't want him anymore. He's in there with Pollard. I could very well see a situation where Pollard goes in there. He was not very efficient last year. In fact, he was on a great offense and he wasn't hardly even a top 12 running back. Like he just was not very good last year.
Yeah.
And he was the only back that the Cowboys had. And that was a top 5 offense. So he's going to a terrible offense with backfield competition and an awful O-line. And Tajay Spears was efficient. He was a good pass catcher. Like they are the same player. But Tajay Spears is younger.
And on a rookie contract.
I don't know. It just feels like, and on a rookie contract. I think if you can get Tajay Spears for packing peanuts, which you might be able to, that might be something worth doing. I don't know that either one of them are going to end up being very, very good for fantasy, but I think on a value perspective, the value might be with Spears. It might have flipped where now Pollard, he's going to be expensive and I don't know how effective he will be for fantasy football there.
Yeah. I guess it's, good for the Pollard owners. I mean, you don't just completely lose him, but yeah, at the same time, I think that offense is going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, he could have signed with the Giants, and I would have been relatively in on him. He could have signed with the Eagles. He could have signed with the Texans. He went to like the one scenario of all the running backs where you look at it and you go, "How is this good? This is bad. Like this is terrible." I don't know. Maybe the Titans are the surprise of the NFL next year, and we look like idiots.
I would be very surprised if that happens. I will say that. I think they're the worst team in their division. They would be
the surprise of the NFL in this scenario.
And they're the worst team in their division by far. Like there is a cliff. It's surprising how even that division is. Like, honestly, at this point, I would put the Texans and Colts over Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not super far behind it, but Texans and Colts over Jacksonville. And then way down there is the Titans.
The Titans are what the Texans have been for like the past 4 years. They're just so far and away the worst team in the division.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Okay, the really nice ones. Josh Jacobs goes to the Packers, gets a 4-year, $48 million deal.
Love it.
It's essentially a 1-year deal.
I saw that. I explain how that works. I've been trying to find, because I haven't seen it, but I've heard that.
I don't fully know. I still need to sort this out. So I am grasping at straws a little bit. I think, and I could be very wrong, so take it with a grain of salt. I think the way this worked out to where it's more of a 1-year deal than it's a 4-year deal is he gets paid at signing and the guaranteed money is front loaded. So there's technically an out after year 2 where there's not a huge cap hit. I think. Could be wrong. Need to research it more.
So likely 2 years, or probably 2 years, basically. But if they tried to get after 1 year, it wouldn't kill them, kind of thing, is what I'm seeing.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So, but you're probably looking at 2 years.
Honestly, you're probably looking at 3 years. But
if I'm looking at it right, it's like you're saying they're paying him a lot up front, which would sort of a little bit be like, I mean, if you've got him cheap the rest of the way, why not use him, kind of thing?
Right. I think that might be how this shook out. I think the short of it is, if this year he crashes and burns, they can get out of there. They can cut him, and they're not completely hamstrung. But it's probably really not. Yeah, that's probably not gonna happen.
He is 26 years old.
He's a very good.
He's young.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. I forget he was drafted at a very young age.
He was like 19 coming out of Alabama or something.
Yeah, he was a baby. In the process of them signing Josh Jacobs, though, they cut Aaron Jones, and A.J. Dillon's a free agent. So as of right now, Josh Jacobs is the only running back that the Packers have.
I was initially a little concerned. Like I wasn't like worried to the extent of like, all right, well, if they're paying Josh Jacobs, like you can keep Aaron Jones, but obviously Jacobs is going to be the hammer. And then I saw they let go of Jones. I was like, holy crap, Josh Jacobs is going to be dominant this year.
I would imagine he's going to be a workhorse this year. He's probably going to get a bajillion carries. They have a good pass game. They've got a pretty good offensive line. Although, I mean, he wasn't much of an effective player at all this past year, but Bakhtiari got cut, their left tackle. But he was injured all year, so he wasn't, he wasn't contributing. Yeah, I would be very excited if I owned Josh Jacobs right now, because that might have been about as good as you could have hoped for.
I am quite excited.
I do think it's very possible they draft a running back, but for right now, Josh Jacobs' season is here.
It is upon us.
Dude, I really thought they were going to draft a running back. I was like, this is going to be a Trey Benson landing spot. This is going to be like a Braylon Allen landing spot.
Well, they're not overpaying for Jordan Love right now. So they have money to spend and can kind of just put things around Jordan Love to make it work. So yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense for them to go get a stud running back.
Yeah, and they're not paying any receivers anything.
No. So
I think the most expensive contract at receiver right now is what they're paying Christian Watson, that second round contract. Jaden Reed, if I remember right, was a third round pick. Like none of those dudes have contracts of note. So they're not paying anybody on offense.
No, this is a good contract for Josh Jacobs and for the Packers, really. I mean, yeah.
So yeah, he's locked and loaded. Saquon Barkley, the
big one,
mega free agent signing at running back. He goes to the Eagles. It's 3 years, $37.8 million. I think I saw it could be up to 46 with incentives. Either way, a lot of money that the Eagles are paying Saquon Barkley. What was your knee-jerk reaction to this? Because I have many thoughts.
He's going to be good.
Yes,
he's going to be good.
He is going to be good. Yes,
they're paying him a lot of money to use him like DeAndre Swift. Like that's how DeAndre Swift had a good year, don't get me wrong. Potentially like a breakout for Swift, and like they honestly underutilized him, especially at the goal line. They will not do that with Saquon, I think, not with the money you're paying him.
It does feel, and this is not meant to compare the two players and their roles, but it feels a lot like when the 49ers decided they were going to get Christian McCaffrey, they traded for him and they paid him. It was like they knew what they were getting and they were willing to pay whatever it took to acquire him. It just feels like the Eagles, because the Eagles don't pay running backs ever. So for them to go pay the highest contract of running backs this free agency cycle, I guess says to me, like, they know what they're doing. They think Saquon Barkley is an outlier, and they are just paying whatever it takes to get him.
Yep. And they've got money to spend too. So, I mean, for a team investment standpoint, like, I get it. They're going to make a push. They're mad after what happened this past year. They're going to make some changes. Yeah. And you got Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore's a good offensive coordinator. So,
yeah. I think there are some questions about that Eagles offense for running backs, just because they don't throw the ball to the running back a ton, and Jalen Hurts. But like you said, they're paying him a lot of money. He is Saquon Barkley. Like, Swift is awesome. Miles Sanders had a good year, good couple years. There's just a difference between having Swift there, who's good.
I love Swift.
But they didn't pay him anything. There was no investment.
Love Swift. He ain't Saquon.
Right. Saquon is kind of a one of one. I know he's had the injuries, but he's an elite talent. But even with those two guys, I mean, Miles Sanders was 5th in the NFL in rushing yards. DeAndre Swift was 5th in the NFL in rushing yards these past 2 years. So, like,
Saquon can be second, first even.
Yes. Saquon is going to rush for 1 billion yards this year. And then I would imagine the touchdowns swing a little bit the other direction. They have not been letting the running backs score touchdowns. I think it swings a little bit. If you go and acquire a guy like Saquon, that signals to everybody, hey, we're going to get this dude very, very involved in our offense. And I would imagine that extends to the goal line.
Yep.
Plus, Jason Kelce retired. So there's questions about the tush push and how good that's even going to be.
I mean, they still got the blueprint for it. They'll figure it out.
They will figure it out. They'll be fine. Okay. So you asked me this before we hit record. I'm curious your thoughts. You brought up Josh Jacobs and Saquon. Now that they've signed, where do they sit for dynasty for you?
It is, I don't know, man. People are going to absolutely hate this take, but whatever. I would take both of them over Kyron Williams. People will not agree with that. I'd take both of them over Kyron Williams.
So
take both of them over Rachaad White.
Yes, I would too. I've got a tweet going out tomorrow. I have thought more about Saquon today because I own him in one of our main dynasty leagues. And so I've been thinking about that part of it more. But I will agree, Josh Jacobs, like that signing initially, I was with you, I was concerned. And then they cut Aaron Jones and I was like, wait a minute.
The Packers offense is great.
Yeah, this is awesome. He's going to get 1 billion carries.
He can catch the ball too. And like,
yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He is Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon in one player. Like, he's the hammer that AJ Dillon is, and he's a good pass catcher.
And he doesn't miss games.
He stays very healthy.
So, yeah, I think Jacobs, I'm a little bit just because this past season he struggled mightily. And yeah. I will give him a pass because the Raiders were not a very good team. But still, I mean, there was nothing good. But then at the same time, 2 years ago, he was like the best running back in football. So like,
and I would have him
somewhere in the middle,
a little bit lower for like the reasons we talked about, for the potential that it is just a 1-year contract. And if he sucks, they can get out of it. But at the same time, like, even if it was a 2-year deal, if he goes out and sucks this year, you're out on him anyway. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the potential for Josh Jacobs in that Packers offense is elite. Like, the ceiling is he's a top 5 running back. That is a thing that can happen this year. And I know Kyron Williams can do that too, but Kyron Williams has no team investment. They will have him this year, but he can be just as gone as Josh Jacobs next year. That is a realistic possibility. So, again, people will not like that take, but the landing spot and talent for Josh Jacobs and the talent and landing spot for Saquon Barkley like for the next 2 years, I mean, if I'm looking at this in a 2-year window for these guys, I think Kyren Williams realistically is like a 2-year window, maybe as well, maybe even less. So they're the same timeline essentially. I would take both. I would take Saquon and Jacobs over him.
Yeah, I would too. I think it's a conversation. I don't think it's super cut and dry. I think I might prefer Kyren to Jacobs. I think I would probably prefer Saquon to Kyren. But like right now, I looked on Keep Trade Cut earlier this afternoon just to see where running backs were valued. And above both of them, you had Rachaad White, Kenneth Walker, Kyren Williams. And I would for sure take both of those, both Jacobs and Saquon over Kenneth Walker, over Rachaad White. But also, we have been a very anti-Rachaad White podcast. So
let's look at
that one surprises
nobody. Did
nobody.
you say Keep Trade Cut? I'm just looking at Keep Trade Cut and see where they've got him at. Because I'm very curious. It doesn't change my opinion, but I'm just curious where the fantasy community's at.
Yeah, I zoned in on Saquon versus Kenneth Walker, and like Saquon was on a bottom 5 offense last year, a terrible offensive line, and he averaged 13 PPR points per game, and Kenneth Walker averaged 13.4 PPR points per game last year. So like the difference is going to be drastic in Saquon's situation. So you can probably expect a 3 to 4 points per game increase at minimum. And, you know, is Kenneth Walker going to go from 13.4 to 17 points a game? No, that's not going to happen. And Saquon is locked in there for like 3 years. So if you play in 3-year windows, I would much rather have him.
So I'm looking, obviously you've got the top, you got Bijan, Brees, Gibbs. That's no question there. McCaffrey, Taylor. Then A-Chain, Kyren Williams, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley at running back 10. I mean, obviously,
would you prefer Etienne or Barkley? I think that's tough for me.
They're a lot closer. Etienne though, he is a talented running back too. And he's still on his rookie contract. For that reason alone, I think I give the slight edge to him. Just because I think he will be in the league a little bit longer than Saquon is the rest of the way. But I could realistically see Saquon outproducing him the next 2 years as well, too. So you can make an argument for either, I guess.
I think for 2 years, barring injury, Saquon Barkley is a top 5 running back, and nobody bats an eye about it.
But we did just see Travis Etienne, who's 2 full years younger than Saquon, have a top 5 season. So, I mean, I'm not to discredit you either. I just saying, like, I feel like they're very close. We'll say that. There's an argument to be made for either.
What do you think about Achane versus Saquon or Jacobs?
I knew that one was going to come up, and I don't know, dude. The right answer is probably Achane, but I would so much rather.
That's probably my cutoff.
I would so much rather put if I'm looking at my contending teams, I'm not trading Saquon or Jacobs for Achane. Like, I don't trust Achane to stay healthy, but I trust Jacobs and Saquon to have RB1 upside every week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We have talked ad nauseum about Achane on here, and I guess it's the age thing, and then also he averaged like 17 points a game as a rookie playing half the snaps. So,
and maybe it's because I didn't experience it much, but like in your contending teams, would you send Devon Achane right now for Saquon Barkley? I think I would.
I would certainly think about it. Yeah.
Barkley, I think I would definitely do. Jacobs is more of a conversation. But at the same time, like, I have Jacobs on a contending roster, and honest to God, I don't think I would trade him for Achane. I think I would rather just try to win a championship with Jacobs.
I get it. Yeah. Achane is tough. He is one of those players that I think in theory, it's easy to rank him one way, but it's not somebody that you want to be pushed on.
Ask Robert Oppenheimer. Theory can only get you so far.
Absolutely. Achane and Puka Nacua are two prime examples that theory can only get you so far.
However,
when you're trying to do trades.
I'm not worried about Puka. Like, at least for Puka, I know I'm getting elite. Like we said, I don't want to get pushed on Puka.
Yeah.
But like, what's worst case scenario? He's the dynasty receiver 7. Like, that's worst case.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on those guys?
No, that was. I don't know if we gave any concrete answers, but there is a lot of discussion with them more than anything.
Yeah.
Very polarizing right now.
The replacement for Saquon in New York is Devin Singletary. He signs a 3-year,
I didn't even know that
$16.5
happened.
million deal.
I did not know about that.
That one just flew under the radar for you, didn't it?
Yep. Don't care.
Giants fans are so excited.
If Saquon struggled with that offensive line, then Devin Singletary is really going to struggle with that offensive line.
Singletary is probably going to be one of those running backs that nobody's excited about, but is like, I don't know about startable, but like a flex option maybe, but not an exciting one.
No.
Like a very
You do not
uninspiring flex option, but he might be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know. Okay.
The biggest
Big
domino.
stuff
This
here.
is this Saquon, Jacobs, and then this one is probably the biggest dominoes.
Kirk Cousins goes to the Atlanta Falcons, your Atlanta Falcons, 4 years, $180 million.
Oh my God.
Everything changes in Atlanta just like that.
I'll be very upfront. I wanted a rookie. I wanted to go get a rookie and just be set there. But obviously the coaching staff wants to win, so let's lean into it. I'm about it. Welcome, Kirk. I'm excited. And let me say this before anybody else. Kyle Pitts is back, and back in a major way. Like, I have scandalous thoughts about Kyle Pitts right now.
Scandalous.
Scandalous. Landon Davis put it as dangerous thoughts about Kyle Pitts.
So you're saying you're back in here for another 6 months.
My gosh, am I in? And I'm in on Drake London. Oh
There we
my
go.
gosh, am I in? I'm in on both of them.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle Pitts has got top 5 upside now. Higher than that, potentially.
I guess because of the way tight ends are, yeah. he definitely has
Think
that
about
upside.
through Kirk's career. Let's pause and think about this for a second. We have seen Kirk Cousins consistently maintain 3 viable fantasy options. You've seen it with Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and Stephon Diggs. You've seen it with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Dalvin Cook. We have seen it with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. We have seen it consistently year in and year out with Kirk Cousins. And I think this is no different. Like, Kyle Pitts is, I mean, I know Brock Bowers is a great talent, but like, Kyle Pitts is the best tight end talent we've seen in the past 10, 20 years. Drake London is an elite receiver. He's got that kind of upside. And Bijan Rob, like, we know what Bijan is. And you're putting Kirk Cousins in an offense that he has consistently thrived in for years. He played under McVay when he was in Washington. He played, Kevin O'Connell is another McVay quarterback, McVay system. And now he's playing with Zach Robinson, another McVay guy. McVay guys love Kirk Cousins, and there's a reason, is because he can execute that style of offense to perfection. And it is exactly what Atlanta wants.
Yeah, they got exactly what they wanted. I think I'm more in on Drake London. I mean, I'm very excited about Kyle Pitts. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But I do think I'm more excited about Drake London than I am about Kyle Pitts, because even with the garbage fest of quarterback play you've had the past 2 years, Drake London has repeatedly shown elite flashes. Like, not just, oh, he's good. He's decent. No,
Drake London's elite.
He's incredible.
Atlanta
And
is
he's just
going to
been
win the
begging
NFC South.
Yes. Yes.
That's going to
They
happen.
absolutely will. if you don't, it was a massive failure of a season.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you don't win like 9 or 10
This is an
games.
epic fail if we do not win the NFC South.
Yeah. And Bijan too. Like, everybody wins. I think you're probably going to add another receiver or two, but still, everybody wins.
And another thing that makes it so exciting is I feel like this gives us incredible flexibility with our 8th pick. We could do so much with that pick right now. Obviously, you can trade it. Like, teams will give you good value for that pick in a trade. We can just take like an edge rusher, like Dallas Turner is very likely to be there. I think that's a great pick. Romo Dunze or Malik Neighbors could be there. Like, you could take one of those guys, an elite talent at receiver. You could take a quarterback. You could take a JJ McCarthy. Anybody, if somebody say they slip, go get somebody, let them sit behind Kirk Cousins and learn. I don't know if they necessarily will, given the contract they paid Kirk, but you could do it. There's so much more flexibility now with that pick than we had. So I know I wanted a rookie and still do want a rookie. Don't get me wrong, but this is the situation we're in. So I'm going to make the best of it. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. This is going to be awesome.
If I'm the Falcons, I really want to add Xavier Worthy to that offense. I don't know exactly all the things that would have to come together. That. Yeah, I would be trying to trade back into the 20s, get a bunch of future things. Like, if you want to go that direction. But if you want to add a pass rusher, great. If you want to add a corner, great. But like, if you want to go that direction, if you don't want to add a tackle, a pass rusher, or a corner, if you want to add a receiver.
But if Malik Neighbors is there and we pass on him, like, come on now.
I do get that. I don't think I would want to add a Dunze, though. That's the only thing, because I feel like him and Drake London are like redundant types of receivers where they play the positions in similar ways.
At that point, for fantasy value, like, those guys would eventually start vulturing other, like, you got Pitts, London, and Dunze, and then Bijan's got to get his. Like, one of those guys is going to be the odd man out.
Exactly. And knowing me,
it'll
how
be
these
Pitts.
Things go, it will be Kyle Pitts.
Just freaking trade him if you're not going to throw it to him. Just trade him.
They're probably going to throw it to him this year. He's probably going to be an 800+ yard receiver this year.
I'm hoping 1,000. Let's this is what's going to happen. Bijan's going to rush for 1,300 yards. He's going to have another 350 receiving. Drake London's going to have 1,500 yards.
Whoa!
12 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts is sitting around 1,150 and 9.
Holy crap, Ben.
This is happening.
Oh my gosh.
Get ready for them Panthers games. We're going to beat up those boys.
Oh, Lord.
Whoop them Panthers.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that's going to be rough.
I've committed to it. Can you tell? I'm all in. Let's do this. I'm excited.
You're in. You are pants on fire, in on Falcons. And I don't blame you. I mean, I would be.
There's the fan bias, but my gosh, like, I feel like it's warranted this time.
Yeah. Anything else on Kirk O'Chains?
No, I ain't got it. Let's go.
Russell Wilson goes to the Steelers to be
far less exciting.
Maybe their quarterback. He's got $1 million on the books there for the Steelers.
Yeah, this is no risk for the Steelers. Like, Jake is our buddy Jake, big Steelers fan. He wasn't excited, and I get why. Russ doesn't excite anybody anymore. But, like, you have invested nothing into him, and he's better than what you got.
Yeah. I mean, you can still try and work a move and trade for one of these guys in the first round if you wanted to. Like, having Russ on the roster at that cap number changes nothing. Like, if they wanted to pursue other options, they absolutely still can, because they're paying their kicker more money than they're paying Russell Wilson.
Yeah, seriously. And Russ is still making 40-something million a year from the Broncos.
Exactly. Somebody else is footing the bill. Yeah. So it is house money right now with Russell Wilson. Anything you get, it's a positive. If he is your backup all year long, great. You paid him $1 million. He's cheaper than most backups.
Yeah.
So
the veteran minimum.
That said, they do have George Pickens, and we know how much Russell Wilson loves big-bodied jump ball receivers. So that is potentially exciting.
Deontay Johnson may be out. I know they're shopping him, but still, I mean, you got Freiermuth. Freiermuth's a really good tight end. I feel like this is good for Najee and Jalen Warren. This will open up the offense and let them kind of just do their ground and pound thing. So
yeah,
I am kind of excited there. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, at the worst, it is what it was last year. At the worst. Because if Russell Wilson is decent, which he was last year, he was pretty good last year.
26 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Not bad.
The Steelers can win the division with that. Like with their defense, they could win the division if Russ does that this year.
Yes. So there's really only up from here. Like if he stinks, okay.
You lost nothing.
You lost nothing. And Kenny Pickett is, I don't know, whatever he is.
Yeah.
So anyways, Russell Wilson. Gabe Davis goes to the Jaguars for 3 years, $39 million.
This is just good for Christian Kirk is all I read there.
And Evan Ingram.
It means Calvin Ridley's gone and he's not coming back, which means Kirk was out producing Ridley for fantasy when they were both on the field anyway. So now you just add, he was essentially used as a deep threat with Buffalo. So you add somebody who's going to open things up for Kirk and Ingram, and you lose the number one, quote unquote, which was Ridley. Because Ridley still did get number one workload sometimes.
Sometimes. Not even all the time. Just most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. Ridley did have a sneaky good season. Like he was, at the end of the day, he wasn't bad. He was like wide receiver 17. Had over 1,000 yards, like 8 touchdowns. He was good.
Yeah. He was fine at the end of the day. Gabe Davis is nice because nobody ever wonders if Gabe Davis is the one.
No.
He's a very nice complimentary receiver, but he's not. It clarifies the target competition.
You can put him on the outside and he will open things up for Christian Kirk.
Yeah. It's kind of why I wanted the Colts to go sign Gabe Davis, because there are no worries about Gabe Davis taking over for Michael Pittman as the one. He's just a nice complimentary receiver. He's probably better for real life football than he is for fantasy. And it's like
the Bills changes and they would just not target him some games.
Yeah. There were several games when he just put up gooses.
And then
it was
a few times a year, he's going to be wide open and Josh Allen will hit him 70 yards down the field.
Yeah.
It happens.
He's a very interesting receiver. I'm curious if that translates the way he was used in Buffalo, if it's the same thing in Jacksonville or if they shake it up a little bit. I don't know, but he probably does more for their offense in real life than he does for anybody's fantasy teams.
Yeah. I don't think Gabe Davis's fantasy value really takes a hit.
No, because it wasn't high anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't really go up either, so you've got the same thing you had. A bench stash.
Right.
Screw it, flex.
Right.
I'm down by 40. We're putting Davis in.
Gus Edwards goes to the Chargers.
I did kind of say that they can't afford any of the high profile guys. This is the best they could do.
Right. This to me means you're drafting a rookie. It's probably going to be Blake Corum.
I hope it's Trey Benson or Marshawn Lloyd.
I would love that.
But
awesome. It's going to be Blake Corum because that's just what's going to happen. And Gus Edwards is a nice complimentary piece. He's a former Raven, so he goes from John Harbaugh to Jim Harbaugh, and Greg Roman's the offensive coordinator. So it's the story writes itself. I guess you could see it coming.
Yeah. So I don't know. Does this value change at all to you?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
He's still.
Chargers got a lot of things to figure out. I know they're shopping Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. We'll see what gets done, if anything, for either of those. I mean, one of them's gone, but we'll see if they can get both traded. I'm so curious what to do at 5.
Yeah.
Like if they trade Keenan and you don't take Malik Neighbors here, I feel like you're going to regret it.
Probably. I could also see them trading down.
Yeah. I think they want to trade down.
I feel like they probably will because somebody's going to want to move up for a quarterback.
Yeah. It won't be
I don't
Atlanta
know.
anymore, unfortunately.
Nope, I could see
The Vikings.
The Vikings. Yep, the Broncos, the Vikings.
They
the Giants,
trade
maybe.
Jefferson and move up to 5. And then Justin Herbert gets Justin Jefferson.
Ben freaks out.
I would crap myself if that happened.
Ben doesn't go to work for a week.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh man. Okay.
Let me
let's
put
rifle
those
through-
false ideas out of my head. That'll never happen. But I just had a dream flash before my eyes. Got really
Oh
excited.
jeez. Jerry Jeudy got traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Interesting.
Have you any thoughts or opinions either way here?
Bad for Elijah Moore. Probably knocks into David Njoku's workload a little bit. I don't feel like it really moves the needle for me on Amari Cooper. I think he's still fine. I'm not really excited for Jerry Jeudy either. Really, this is just good for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Gives him an extra weapon.
Michael Pittman, he got the bag, 3 years, $70 million.
Does this move
Surprised
him like
absolutely
into
nobody.
your 30s for next year's rankings?
Oh my God. Michael Pittman is in my teens
Okay,
for
good.
next year's rankings. I have changed my tune.
I just finally, I have no shares of Michael Pittman until last night. Finally got one.
Yeah. I am tearing down my dozen team to the studs. Decided it was time to just rebuild. I had all these old guys. They were all on, AARP. Like, all right, this isn't going to win, so I need to take things into my own hands.
You put this
and
trade
just
on
started
Twitter
selling.
and people ripped you to shreds over it.
People didn't like it. So here was the trade. I sent you Michael Pittman and the 109 this year, and I got my first round pick in 2025, which I did not have, obviously, prior, and like a third.
You initially, and it was kind of funny, like on paper, like an early first round pick in 2025 is probably a fair deal for Michael Pittman. But I also I knew you're rebuilding. I'm like, I don't think I can trade because my team is also really bad in this league. I have the 101 and 102 in it. So I'm like, I don't think I can trade the potential 101 in 2025 for Michael Pittman, given how bad my team is right now. But the late first being added onto it like this year, I don't know. I feel like it is worth it. It does help both sides. But Pittman is still young. He's 26 years old, and he just got a 3-year contract.
I thought about it this way. I was getting killed. Everybody's like, why in the world are you trading Michael Pittman for a 25 first and you're tossing in the 109 on top of it? And I'm like, guys, that is going to be the 101.
You're going to make sure it happens.
I have full control over what that pick is.
Like I did that same thing in this league this year. I'm like, come hell or high water, I'm getting the 101. I sold everything other than what I had to keep, and I'm getting the 101.
I have like one play. I think I have CeeDee Lamb. He is the only one that there is zero chance he gets moved. Outside of him, there's going to be nothing. And then I made one other trade. I sent Mark Andrews and Kenneth Walker for the 103 and the 203. So I'll get.
I think I like that because I think I prefer the 103 to Mark. It is a tight end premium league, so Mark Andrews' value's bumped up, but I think I still prefer the 103 to him. But I prefer Kenneth Walker to the 203, so I guess I do get making the trade, but.
I mean, in my mind, I can either take a quarterback there, I could take Malik Neighbors, I could take Brock Bowers if I wanted to in a tight end premium league. I think I'll have options.
Very flexible there.
Very flexible. It will depend on landing spot. Like if Neighbors goes to, I mean, I don't know, fill in the blank bad landing spot. I don't necessarily have to take him. See, the Giants isn't that bad.
I guess that's not even a bad landing spot still.
Like the Patriots is not a good landing spot.
He won't go to the Patriots. If anything, Marvin Harrison will go to the Patriots.
Yeah.
But I think the Patriots have made it very clear they're going to take a quarterback.
Yeah. Anyways, made a couple trades. just tearing it down to the nubs. We'll see how it shakes out.
Anyway, Michael Pittman. I think that's who we need to be talking about here.
Oh, yeah,
Who
that's
we
right.
pivoted
Yeah.
off of.
He got a bag, $70 million. He's locked in. Surprises nobody. He's great. And does this contract change how you view him in Dynasty at all?
No, because I figured he was going to get a contract anyway, really. So, I mean, you lock him in for the next 3 years. Anthony Richardson can lean on him, grow with him. You got Jonathan Taylor already. You got a good offensive line. You got an offensive genius in Shane Steichen. I mean, we keep saying it that we're going to be in on the Colts. We are in on the Colts offense. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Justin Fields, as of this moment, has not been traded.
I have heard that the Raiders are picking up steam as the potential suitor
They're
for
not.
him.
They signed Gardner Minshew.
That's true, but I still saw like credible sources saying that they were still thinking about a trade for Fields. So I know they got Minshew, and Minshew's fine. He will be serviceable. Honestly, I think it's either the Raiders or the Vikings are like the last teams that like make sense, I guess. Like he's running out of landing spots.
Yeah, there's nobody left. It's going to be whoever doesn't get the chance to trade up.
You thought it was
I could see
we
the
thought it was Atlanta or
Broncos.
Steelers. That's out of the picture.
Yeah. I could see the Broncos because they might be too far back to trade up. They don't have enough assets.
But do you
I
think
could see
Sean
them
Payton
flipping a
really
second.
wants Justin Fields though?
No, but I think he's got to prove. I think he's got to show some proof of concept a little bit. I don't think he can just have a year where they stink and get a high draft pick.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
They might just tank it though and eat this Russ salary and then just come out the other side and deal with it later.
Because you like you said, you are going to have to pay Fields. So like, if they went and got him, it would be a 1-year thing. Like they probably can't pay him with what they're going to have to pay Russ next year either.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's running out of places he can go.
Yeah, it's musical chairs. The chairs are filling up. I don't know if he'll end up with one. He might just be, heck, he might just stay in Chicago. They might be like, you know what, screw this. We'll keep him as a backup. I feel like it would be catastrophic to do that, but they could.
That would mess up a lot of people's plans.
It would. Last piece here. T. Higgins requested a trade before free agency opened. That was the big news story of the day until the big news stories of the day.
T got a
Everybody freaked out a little
couple
bit.
hours in the sunshine.
Yeah, he was the top story on ESPN for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then things started happening.
I guess it's not surprising. They haven't been able to get anywhere with a long-term deal. T. Higgins wants the bag. I think Cincinnati knows they can't give him what he wants. Like you've already signed Burrow. You have to prioritize Jamar Chase. Like Jamar Chase is that level of dude. And as great as T. Higgins is, he's the odd man out. Like people, I guess, speculated. He doesn't want to play on a franchise tag. I get it. But Jonathan Taylor requested a trade last year too. Didn't happen. I know now wide receiver is far more valuable in a real world NFL than running back is these days. So we'll see. But
I could see T. Higgins being a Carolina Panther in about 3 days.
I think the Panthers are a realistic option. I honestly think the Texans are a realistic option because they have the draft capital and they have the cap space to pay him as well. Not saying it will happen, but like as far as the ideal landing spots, I think that one realistically could happen.
I think I'm not so sure about the Texans because I don't feel like they're motivated to go trade for and then pay a receiver. Whereas I feel like of all the teams that would be motivated to go get the receiver and then pay him his mega contract, the Panthers are at the top of the list. And I don't think they're going to get one. I mean, unless things could change. I mean, honestly, as of this moment in time, they might have already signed like Calvin Ridley or Marquise Brown. And then this would all be moot. But, you know, until something like that happens, they're not going to get anybody in the draft. They don't have a pick until They have 2 seconds. They added another second round pick
with Brian Burns trade.
They traded Brian Burns. Yeah. So like they could then flip that pick that they got from the Giants, the pick 39. They could send 39 for T. Higgins and pay him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Arizona
you could
Cardinals,
drop a second and a fifth.
They've got a lot of money. Maybe they throw a second and pay T. Higgins and draft Marvin Harrison. Like, give Kyler a lot of weapons.
They could.
I don't know. I think New England is in play. People won't like that, but New England is in play.
Suck,
they could trade for him. They have a lot of money to play around with, and they are going to get a new quarterback. It's a new coaching staff. It is not Bill anymore. So,
right.
As unappealing as the Patriots looks, I feel like there's more optimism than people are willing to give it there, I guess. We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot of things in play for them.
Yeah. Next time we record, a lot of this might have shaken itself out, and there will be a lot to deal with.
We may have to record twice this week. Like, so much happened. We're like, we've got to record tonight.
Yeah. There's so much that's happened. There's still a bunch of guys still out there. Derrick Henry, Marquise Brown, Calvin Ridley.
Fall still.
Aaron Jones is floating out there after being cut today.
Sorry, Aaron.
Whew. There's a lot that could happen. The Cowboys are still out there for a running back.
That's where I was like predicting / hoping Josh Jacobs would go. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with him in Green Bay. I think that's really good. But I thought like the Cowboys, especially when the Eagles got Swift, like I thought the Eagles are going to get Saquon, and then the Cowboys are going to respond by getting Josh Jacobs. And Derrick Henry's still out there too. That could happen.
Yeah. The Ravens are still very much in play for a running back. It feels like from the get-go, it's been Derrick Henry to the Ravens. So I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Yeah.
But there's still a couple landing spots here. The Chargers, they're probably going to draft a rookie, but there's still several running back landing spots that are super interesting. Yeah. And I'm sure there's many teams that we aren't even naming that could be in play for a running back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lots of more musical chairs to fill. We might have to record twice this week. We'll see how it all shakes out. Anything else you want to say about these free agents, about these potential trades, all this stuff swirling around?
Nothing spectacular. I got a lot. Just got a lot to decompress and think about, dude, honestly. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. That'll do it from us. We'll see you maybe later this week, maybe next week. Probably breaking down a lot more free agency, getting into some of these draft prospects. We'll see you all very, very soon. Have a good one, everybody.
Peace.